What's up, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Life's a Garden. Today's guest was the only band member not featured on the podcast last year, but I'm making it up to him today because he is the first band member to be featured this year. The band has huge news to announce. Saturday, February 24th, we are making our Pub Station debut. We will be opening up for our good friends in Fake News who are paying tribute to the great Alice in Chains. Very excited to play that show. You can get your tickets at the Pub Station box office. There's a link to the online tickets in the event page on the Pub Station Facebook page. So go check it out there. Get your tickets. We are super excited to be playing this show, and we will see you there. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Justin Senger.
Why don't you talk in the microphone? I got a back right here. Back of my. Got it. Back of my. Back of my.
Let's get rocking.
Life's a garden, dig it.
Welcome back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Dude, it's been a minute, actually.
I think the last one was quite a while ago.
It's been over a year, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I was thinking about it because I didn't even realize it until I made the positive message montage that you were the only band member that wasn't featured last year.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
now you're the first one this year, though.
Nice. That's cool, man.
Which
Yeah.
is good timing, honestly, because, well, and another thing, though, we have to kind of talk about the CD.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't had that conversation on here yet, so.
Because a lot has been accomplished since I've last been on here.
Big time.
We've made a lot of strides.
Yeah.
So,
And then we got the show coming up, big show, Pub
Yeah.
Station.
first time playing at the Pub Station. That's going to be good.
It's going to be huge. Sounds like we're more than likely going to get the ballroom.
That would be good.
That'd be
Sounds like
crazy.
trending that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome.
As of right now, we're up to over 200 tickets.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Because last I heard it was like 180.
Yeah. So
Nice.
Aaron gave me like 4. Me and Drew sold them like immediately at work. So I'm going
Really?
to get some more from him. And
I think my mom tried to go to the Crystal yesterday and get him.
he probably had some.
I think he was working, but
Oh,
he's the ticket man.
yeah,
He's
dude.
got the tickets.
I'll tell you what, Aaron can sell his way out of he can sell ice to a freaking Eskimo. Like, he knows how to sell.
Yeah, he must.
Yeah,
And he's got that like way about him to just do that. Where
it definitely helps being in that bar setting.
yeah, because sometimes it's hard. Like I know we've talked before, maybe about like going out in the world and being like, "Did you know I'm in a band? Hey,
Yeah,
I'm in a band. Do you want to come on my show?"
it's
like
hard.
you kind of want to be like, "All right, I'm not gonna like flaunt it." It's like
Yeah.
I don't need that validation, but
Yeah, I don't remember. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was sitting at the bar a couple weeks ago. I don't even remember. And God, I wish I could. I wish I could remember how the conversation went. But either way, me and this guy were just like bullshitting, talking about whatever, And I can't remember how it got brought up, but music got brought up, and I mentioned that I was in a band. And the guy goes, "What?" He goes, "You're in a band, and you never said nothing this whole time." I was like, well, it's kind of like cocksure to be like,
yeah.
by the way, I'm in a band. Like, just so
Right.
you know, my name's Dakota and I'm in a band. Like, just start off a conversation like that. It's really hard to just like come out like that.
It reminds me of like maybe being like a teenager and being in a band and you want to tell everybody or like, because I get people like now, like some people at work that are like, "You never told us you were in a band and we thought you were kidding," or, like, I'm like, well, I'm not going to be like, "Hey, happy first day. I'm in a band."
Yeah, but
like,
like that's part of your
because
resume.
it's like, it's nice when people can find things out about you like more naturally or, that way. So,
Hang on, I just want to make sure that your mic's. Yeah, okay, we're good.
okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Can you hear me?
It-
Okay.
It's hard playing producer and host at
Many
the same
hats.
time. Just wanted to make sure. But anyway, yeah, no, it's definitely tough to. And I agree. It's nice when people just find it out.
Yeah.
Rather than, or if it just gets brought up,
Because I've had people that they're like, "Oh, you're in a band," and I'm like, "Really? How do you know that?" never told you that.
Yeah. It is fun to get that reaction. And at the same time, it's like there have been probably a few occasions where I'm like waiting for an opportunity to bring it up. But
I find myself like working it in sometimes because like it's hard not to. When
well, it's also a good conversation piece.
Yeah, definitely.
And if somebody else is a musician, then obviously you're gonna bring that up then.
It's not like you want to like brag, but it's kind of nice to like add personal information depending on the situation,
right,
and stuff. But I will say, like, this is the first band I've ever been in where I see stickers or bumper stickers or people wearing Cutthroat stuff, and I'm like, I don't know who you are. But that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the one guy I saw in traffic, and I went, I want to see who this is. So I went up next to him, didn't know who he was, but I was still like,
like, who is that? Like, I'm the guy with the sticker that's on the.
This guy's really giving me the rock and roll horns. Who the heck is that guy?
You're like, that's my sticker.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, when you see somebody walking around with a T-shirt, and you're like, who is that guy? And you're just like, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it is.
I remember, dude, this was one of the best. Me and Aaron were sitting at the Crystal just having some drinks, and this girl walks by, and she goes, "You're in Cutthroat." And I go, "Yeah." I was like, "He is too." And she goes, "Yeah, you're Dakota, right?" And I was like, I had no idea who this girl was. It dawned on me later that, like, I had a conversation with her at the Crystal before, and it got, because her and her dad were there, and they noticed all the stickers, and I was wearing my hoodie, and somebody else was wearing a shirt, and they're like, they were just like, I'm just curious, what is that? And then I explained, and she remembered. I was just like, I do not remember you, but that is awesome that you remember me.
It's the closest we'll ever get to being the local weatherman.
Yeah.
I see you in the news.
It's very interesting to think that we, in a very weird way, are mild local celebrities.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as to say we're like, you know.
I'm definitely on the side of like, I never expect anyone knows me.
Right.
So whenever they do, I'm like, oh, really? Okay.
I'm surprised when people are like, hey, you're the podcast guy, right? And I'm like, yeah, like, well, I'm not like the podcast guy, but I do a podcast.
We're not going to the mall to sign autographs or anything. Hey, everybody.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
We'll be at the mall today signing autographs.
After party at Buffalo Wild Wings.
I wish we would have done that.
When?
You should have said that at a show.
Oh, no. You want to tell that story?
Yeah, it's like our first show we ever... Was that the first show we ever played?
It was the very first show.
And you're so... Like, because we were 16.
Yes.
And, like, you're so well thought out with what you wanted to say, and you were so grandiose, but in a very, like, charismatic way.
I had, like, a script.
It wasn't, like...
in my head.
Corny or anything. To me, I was like, this is awesome. Yeah.
And we would rehearse down to the bare, everything.
You would get down on a knee at every bridge, at this one song. You would say the talking points in between songs at practice.
Yeah.
But you were like telling me you wanted to tell everyone to have an after party at Buffalo Wild Wings. Which, like, looking back on it, I'm like, that probably would have been fine. We're just a local band. We're teenagers.
You already know. Even if we did that today, you know how many people would go?
Yeah, a lot.
I would say probably nobody.
No one?
I bet, like, not a lot of people. See, and obviously we chose Buffalo Wild Wings because it was a place that we could go.
That was, like, cool. But I remember being like, maybe don't say that there. Maybe don't say, go to Buffalo Wild Wings after this show. And you're like, why not? I'm like, And then later you were like, thanks for telling me that.
Yeah. I
also remember very clearly, like, because we played outside at the Yellowstone Perk. So this is ancient venue, ancient news. But you went inside, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh.
And you're in the bathroom, like, moosing your hair. And I'd never seen you do that before. And I was like, okay.
Hey, I wish I could moose my hair now. So at least I did something with it at one point.
You did something. And I remember, like, getting pictures from that show and being like, I'm never wearing shorts at a show again. And I have since now, actually. Pink shorts, but...
Yeah, I do remember that.
That's how it goes.
I'm not a shorts guy either, but, man, sometimes it just gets so hot on stage, you gotta wear some shorts.
Well, like Harley Davidson in the middle of summer, and it was...
Yeah.
Like, you could see in the pictures that were, like, sunburning,
beet
like...
red.
In the moment. Like, we're currently being sunburned.
I'm not even kidding. I swear I almost passed out the first time we did that show. Like, I was up there and, like, just guzzling water. And, like, there was a time when I was, like, I think it was after hypnotized when jumping around and
Yeah.
like really exhausting yourself. And I was just like, whoo! I got like a little lightheaded. I was like,
Because
damn.
then you're like singing and you're moving around and you're like, your lungs are trying to keep up with both, and you're like,
When you got the heat exhaustion sinking in and just dehydration and
I don't know if you remember, because this is also like an ancient We Were Teenagers show, but the FOE in the basement, and it was like negative 25 degrees outside, but inside there the heat was blowing on us, and it was like we were melting.
which one?
It was a FOE. I don't know if you remember that, but
Oh yeah,
I'm just trying to remember shows where I'm like, I think I might melt. I'm like gonna die.
I remember there was one at Kraft. It was the old Kraft.
Mm.
It was really, really hot. And I must have mentioned it a couple times
Oh,
because Dwayne came over with a big fan and started. I was like, oh shit! Like, it was the middle of summer, so it was just hot
Yeah.
in there. But there's only been a handful of occasions, and it's always hot on stage when you're jumping around and doing that thing.
I
but-
feel like I've seen like Bad Wolves and Tommy Vex like a few times, and he always says that. Like he's always drenched in sweat, and he's like, "It's hot up here." It just cracks me up.
Well, I mean, when you got the lights on you there too.
Yeah.
Here's something I was thinking about the other day. So, the fact that we're playing, let's just hypothetically say we get the ballroom. I don't want to jinx us or anything.
I mean, yeah. Either way, it's still cool.
Oh, no
Yeah.
matter what, it's gonna be awesome. But if we get the ballroom, if we sell enough tickets to get the ballroom, that's more than some signed artists have done at that place.
That's true.
You know, like we saw Cold in the tap room.
Tap room.
We saw Mushroom Head in the tap room.
Yep.
Who else have we? We've seen some
There's
pretty.
a lot of bands in the tap room.
Yeah, we've seen some big, like, well-known acts play in the tap room. They couldn't sell enough tickets to get into the ballroom
I think there's even bands I can think of that have canceled billings
because
they didn't sell enough tickets.
Mm.
But they don't say that's the reason.
it's a different. Yeah,
They
make
like, you know, but I mean, billings is probably a pit stop for some of these bands, but like that's true. You're right. Like I think they can't. They're either maybe canceling the show or doing the tap room. Oh, the tap room's not even that full,
right.
and they're in the tap room.
I was when we went and saw Cold, dude.
Yeah.
It was like we could just walk around. You know, there was like plenty of space to walk up front.
But that was a really good show.
It was a really good show.
And I actually ended up really like getting into them after that show. But yeah,
It's just crazy. Like
it is crazy.
to think that if we could sell enough tickets, and you know, obviously us and Fake News collectively,
Yeah.
like we're both part of this.
How many people are in Fake News? 5 or 4?
I think.
So that's like 10 local people hustling tickets.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
It just speaks a lot to like local music and like what we've been able to like build
That's true.
as ourselves and just as a community.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Because we played a lot of shows now. Like looking back on it, I'm like, remember in the early days when you're on your 5th show, and now I like lost count. I'm like,
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. I was trying to think about how many shows we did last year, and I was like confusing some from the year
Yeah.
before, and I was like missing shows. I was like, oh yeah, we did play that. Oh yeah, and then it's like when we were talking about I was thinking about whatever our first show last year
Yeah.
was. It was February at Kraft
Oh,
with
yeah.
1 second ago, and I was like, that seems like forever
Mhm.
ago.
it's
That-
just
It was a busy year last year.
even just the fact that we're going on what, maybe year 5 here, and then
Seems-
like
yeah.
we've had the same 5 people in this band for a local band. I'm like amazed
Yeah.
because I've never experienced anything like that. So
Well, and if it's, yeah, it's awesome. And then the one thing I will say, it's once you start getting busier and busier and having to play more shows, recording CDs and things like that, the one thing that seems to be a struggle is writing. Like I feel like we've had kind of we've been able to write, but it's just at a slower pace.
yeah,
And it seems like once we start writing a song, we start getting other shows and we're playing for that show.
Yep.
And then we kind of like lose track of that song. We got to go back and kind of
and then you
revisit
get like
it.
a bigger catalog to juggle songs over. It's like, especially if you practice like what, once a week or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, you're either like preparing for a show or like something,
Yeah.
and you don't always want to write a new song. And then writing a new song with 5 people is a little bit more of a task than 3 or 2, you know, so.
Yeah, when we had more time in between shows, it was a little easier, but I mean, I'm not complaining, that's for sure. And if we really wanted to sit down and crack out a few songs, I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
It's just, if that was the priority, then we'd make it the priority.
Yep.
And it just kind of is one of those things that happens when it happens now.
Right.
But, I mean, we got a pretty nice catalog of songs as it is.
Yeah, definitely. Like, and it's not like we haven't been writing.
Right.
It's just like when you get busy, like you said, with recording and playing shows and stuff, it's like you kind of like, once there's time to write, then we can write. But, you know.
What was your experience, from your perspective? How was your experience through the whole CD process with us?
The CD process? Gosh, I mean, that's probably the best experience that I've had recording and having things be organized and go smoothly. And like, it was kind of new for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really liked it.
It was awesome.
It went really smooth.
It was nerve-wracking for me at first, and then once we got kind of comfortable, that's when it started really gelling and feeling good.
Because Jesse did a really good job, and that studio is really good, and he really understood what we were going for, and it wasn't stressful, and I felt like it got done in a decent amount of time, and it was fun, and like the end product's really good. Like, I mean, you did a lot of organizing and with him to make it so smooth, but yeah, it's just like hard to find a situation like that, I feel like, in like a local smaller-ish town.
I can only imagine the next time's going to be that much easier now that we have
Hopefully.
like a relationship with Jesse, and like we're more like on a personal level. We actually can like chill and talk, and it's not like awkward walking into his house, and you know what I mean, like.
Right. Yeah, I think I'd like to talk to him some more, because I think some of you guys are a little bit more on a personal basis with him. I feel like I was just kind of more like, oh, I'm here, record my part. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't know him quite as well as you do, I think, but
sure. But it's going to be an overall, I think, better experience whenever we pop in the studio again. It's just going to flow a little easier, I think.
He definitely has the best personality for like stuff like this too. Like, yeah.
That was
very impressed.
That was my other thing too, is like I was kind of somewhat on edge in my head, because I was like, oh, you know, is he going to like, how stickler is he going to be about us like having to redo these takes, and like how, like, where's his head at with like timing, and you know, is he going to be pissed off if we're off the metronome, and you know, things like that. And like I said, if we had to take extra takes, but no, he was totally chill and just like, he's been around the block, he knows, and he's a musician himself.
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
And super, super easy to work with.
Yeah.
Now, how about the release of the CD? How was
the release?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that like you were really smart to make that like kind of where we had like a little like get together and like kind of do that stuff, and like for people that were like pretty close to us to kind of like have that happen, and it felt very like just that, and then like the whole experience in general felt very like special and important, and like I don't know, like it was so cool, because sometimes it's hard to like feel like you even get to this point at all, and then we did, and it was like what you wanted.
Right.
So no, I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
and
I thought it couldn't have gone off any better, to be honest.
Especially like in a grassroots sense for like local, and just being a local band here, and like the groundswell, that's like phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm super proud of the work we've done, and it's only going to grow.
And it's so cool to hear these songs, like all the nuances, like, because I'm so used to, just like you are, like you just hear your part and you're kind of listening for certain things, but to hear it from like a different perspective of just like, oh, this is what this sounds like, and
when you don't have to focus on your part.
Yeah, you don't have to like focus on your part, and you can hear everything clearly. You're like, you know what? That thing Drew's doing right there is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Or like, there's certain things that you were doing that I'm like, that is genius. Like, and I mean, granted, I feel like, obviously, like, I'm one of the biggest fans of Cutthroat or of your singing or of your style as anybody. So I really love it, you know?
Right.
I'm not like listening to it constantly, but like, it's really cool.
I do every now and again.
Yeah.
On my drive home, I'll just pop one
it's,
in.
it's hard not to, but it's just like, I don't know. I
It's-
just feel like I always playing it, so.
Yeah. But that also speaks to the quality of it as well, as it's like we've played these songs for the last 3, 4, 5 years
Yeah.
and they're still not like we're not sick of them.
Yeah, that's
You know?
true. And that shows like those songs are like time tested.
There's not one of those songs that I'm just like, oh, okay, this one again.
Yeah.
So
No kidding.
it's like I'm excited. I'm just as excited to play them now as I was when we wrote them,
Yeah.
if not more
Me too.
in some cases. Because just like any band or any songs, you're like, this is the song I'm into this month, or like
Yep.
you kind of like change your favorites. You're like, oh, I'm really digging this one this week.
And it's cool too. We all have different favorites,
Mhm.
so that like makes it fun.
And I think that helps with everybody. It makes it more of an enjoyable experience.
Because you'll at practice go around and be like, okay, you pick, and you always kind of know which ones we're gonna pick.
Yeah, which is fine. Like
it's
there's
kind of
nothing
fun.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, and then you see there's a kind of a change where like somebody will start picking a different song,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, now that's your go-to now, huh?
Right.
It's cool. I enjoy it. But on top of Cutthroat, you also have another side project.
I do.
Want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So it's Hidden Standards. So it's a 3-piece rock band where I sing and play guitar. And then we got Mark on bass and Vaughn on drums. So, it's a pretty simple little outfit where, like they help me like write the songs, or like I'll have some made and they'll like make their parts, and like
You guys have quite a few songs already,
it's kind of
right?
fun in that sense. Yeah, like, and I had a good head start just because I have so many ready to go,
Right.
and like, but yeah, we played 2 shows. We played one Cameron Records, which ended up being like a really cool place to play.
Yeah.
And then we played at the pub station once too. So yeah, that's fun too. Like, definitely like Cutthroat helped me become a lot more of a like real well-rounded guitar player, where I feel like I can actually work my way around a guitar instead of just play power chords. So like it's all really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool too that you still play guitar, but you sing in this one,
Yeah.
and then you have to take on that more lead role.
Yeah. Which is like, I like doing both.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of pressure to talk on the mic and
Oh,
do
trust me,
that
man.
stuff, and which maybe is the hardest,
It's so hard.
because it's like there's no way to get good at it without doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I've heard like stand-up comedians talk about that. Like, you just have to do it to get good at it, and that's kind of how I feel. And it depends on the venue and the crowd and all this stuff, but like, I'm not usually the like talker up
Yeah.
there. I'm more of a like keep it simple, but I enjoy singing. But I enjoy, just as much in Cutthroat to be like, I don't have to worry about a mic today. I can just run around and be a crazy person, or so there's fun to both of it.
The thing I've like come to realize when it comes to crowd talking, there's like 3 real basic things that help me. One is to just prepare all the different things you want to say. Don't plan exactly how you want to say them, or like what sequence you want to say them in, because then if you get off your script in your head, you're
Mhm.
gonna totally like you're gonna fail yourself. You're gonna like think, oh man, I fucked up. Now it's like ruined.
Yeah.
So don't have like a script laid out.
Yeah.
Just be like run through all the different scenarios of things that you can say, because once you start talking, it'll just come out. Like
Yep.
it'll just flow easily, because you're just like, and if you miss a couple points, that's fine. You can just
Mhm.
do them again later. And then the other one is keep it fairly short and sweet. Like, you don't gotta like, me, I love the Brent Smith and the David Draymond type,
I like that. I like that
where
too.
they really have those like elaborate speeches almost. It's harder at a local show to really get that. I feel like if it's a bigger show, you could probably actually like engage that crowd more.
Right.
But at a local show, you kind of got to keep it more like basic, sweet, and then the main thing is just being confident in what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because if you're confident in what you're saying, if you're like standing straight up and looking them in the face and not like, looking down or like, you got to
Right.
like really make sure they believe what you're saying, even if it's crazy or like, or if you fumble your words or if you like kind of say, like stumble a little bit and stutter and
Yeah.
go out
'Cause
of
I've done
sequence.
that. I've
Oh,
stuttered.
I've done it too.
And I've done it too where like, I don't even remember what I said at this part, or I'm playing a song and I'm like, maybe I should say this after the song's over. And
Yeah.
you're like, you're singing and you're playing and you're thinking about what you're going to say next. And you're like, what's happening? And like, but there's also a difference too, like you said, with like a local show. Sometimes it's hard to go really grandiose.
Yeah.
But like if you're headlining or like your people are really there, I feel like you can say a little
Definitely.
more. Whereas like if you're opening for some big band, you're more to like hype up the crowd and who's ready for whatever band you're opening for and just get to the next song and let me hear you scream. And like there's just like an art to that, I feel like. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Like I've already been thinking about what I want to say at the pub show.
Yeah.
So it's like I've already like established a bunch of different topics and a bunch of different like ways of saying certain things, and like I'll say the same thing, like the same topic in different ways, because once I'm up there, one of those many ways is going to come out, and as long as it's like fairly well said, then I feel confident in it.
Yeah. There's also a thing too for me. I don't know if I've told you this before or talked about this before, but like I'll be like have shows where I feel really in the flow and I'm in the moment and I'm not in my head and everything's just going. I'm saying stuff or playing right and we're jamming and the crowd vibe is good. But then there's shows where like I'm like, oh, I can feel people looking at me. Am I sounding all right? Like you're like
Get in your
losing the
head.
war in your head. Like, and I've had a lot of shows where like I probably seem like I'm doing all right, but in my head I'm like, oh no, we're falling off the rails. We got to keep the energy up. Like,
Well, crowd feedback is a huge morale booster. Like,
oh yeah,
like if you got people standing up and jumping up and down and dancing and headbanging and people really are engaged, that gives you confidence. If everybody's sitting down and like talking and like not really like paying attention, then you're just like, fuck.
because yeah, I've like at the pub station, there's been times opening for big bands where I get the crowd stare that's just kind of, they're looking at you like you're a ghost, like, and they're just giving you the blank stare, and you're kind of trying to get everyone to be like, this is who we are, come on, let's go. And they're like, they're not your typical crowd, so they're kind of unsure.
But at the
You
same
know?
time, there's no better feeling than winning a crowd
Right.
over. Than like, you know, it's especially when it's a setting like that where not a lot of people know you.
Mhm.
And then, so they're going to just sit and listen.
Yep.
But if by halfway through the show, they're like won over,
Yep.
they're moved up toward the stage, they're really like engaged, that's a win because you're like, okay, we brought
Yeah.
them on board.
And that's what you want. You want to
Exactly.
reach new people. But even like this last show, was this the last show we played? Was Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
That show was so fun because like especially towards the end of the show, like we're playing our like hype songs and everyone's jumping and getting into it, and but that's so fun.
Well, even with, and that was great too because we had a couple of malfunctions in the show.
Oh.
And I felt bad about my part on that because like I froze. That was a learning situation for
I
me.
can't even remember that.
It was when Aaron's bass went out.
Oh. I think I remember being like, dude, it's your bass. Just switch it. Just let's go. Let's go. I'm
Yeah.
always the like, let's just go.
Which is hard when
Yeah.
like, you know, but that was a learning experience for me because I need to have plans in the event that happens. And granted it took me a minute, but I at least am happy that I was like, Drew, do a guitar solo.
Oh yeah.
Because that was something. You know, it was something that we could do. I could have done my a cappella thing that I've done before, you know.
Right.
Could have done something like that. Could have had a drum solo, could have had a guitar battle.
Right.
You know, there's several different things that we can do.
Granted, I do feel like shows have a like a life cycle.
Yeah.
Like as your set goes on, maybe it starts really high and then it'll kind of dip, and then like you want it to get back up high at the end. I feel like that's why a lot of bands like get softer in the middle because that kind of naturally happens anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to kind of build people back up and build the show back up. Because if you're playing 10, 12, 14 songs, like, you can't expect to start high, be high the whole time, and end even higher.
Yeah, if you're just like banger, 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 banger all the way through, by the time you get to the end, everybody's so exhausted they don't
Yep.
even like want to be up there for the finale.
Right.
Whereas like you got to start off hot just to get the crowd's like attention, but then once you reach the middle, you kind of mellow it out a little bit, or like
Yeah.
even just groovy stuff, a little bit more just chill vibe.
Of like the art of building a set list, which I feel like you've always been really good at, and I kind of have like learned a lot from you on that, is like how to build a set list and like what to start with and what to end with, and so
And you got to
that's
mix it
cool.
up too. We tend to lean towards the same like 3 or 4 songs that we close with,
yeah.
but it's not like we're not like this is the headliner, like this is the song that we close with.
Yeah,
but
and that's good to not get stuck into that.
But we also know which songs people really gravitate to, and which songs are like very good crowd songs. So it's like that's smart too. You gotta like really know what you're working with.
That's true. Yeah. You can, and then you kind of learn based on like playing a bunch of shows, like, oh, this one's really good for this.
Yeah.
This one's really good for this. Like,
I would like to. I think sometime this year we need to. I mean, obviously, Pub Station wouldn't be the show to like do any experiments with, but I do think it'd be cool to like really just do a bonkers different set list.
yeah.
Like start off with one of our closers.
Yeah.
And like, put the slow song toward the end.
Yeah.
Just something different. Just try something a little
Kind of
different.
challenge us and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of a fun, just something different at one of the bar shows, craft shows, or something like that. Just try something a little different for ourselves even.
Yeah.
But what I've always wanted to do too is, and this probably wouldn't be the case now, but like if we became well known enough to literally just do like a crowd show where it's like you guys pick the songs.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you tell us what we play. I mean, we've played them all. We know how to play them. So it's like you pick the next song.
I've seen like bands do that like on social media where they want fans' input in specific cities.
Yeah,
Like, what songs do you want us to play in
that'd be cool.
Boston?
Or like a bucket show where you just pull it out of a bucket and that's the
Yeah.
next song. Like that, I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But obviously that's just a thought.
Yeah.
And it'd be better if you're like people really, really knew your stuff.
Right.
So does Hidden Standards have any shows coming up?
No, I don't think so.
Nothing planned
Nope.
just yet?
Just working on stuff and, writing and
Practicing?
practicing and doing that, and which, I mean, yeah, you got to kind of put in the behind the scenes work to get places. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but-
now I don't want to give any spoilers away for that. The one special event that I'm thinking of,
I think so. Yeah.
just because it's not a for sure
Yeah.
thing yet. But I will give this. This isn't a giveaway. This isn't a done deal. But I will let you know. I did get
Okay.
the contact for Totfest.
Really?
Yeah. So
Nice.
I'm gonna contact them and see about getting us on the lineup there.
That's cool. Yeah, that would be really cool.
For anybody who's not aware, Totfest is a festival, like a rock metal festival in Missoula.
Cool.
Which is something on those are 2 things on my bucket list for the band: is go somewhere else
Yeah.
and play a festival.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Because the festival thing is just good for, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
Exposure?
it's good for exposure, but it's also good for like getting to know other bands.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to like
Make
get
connections.
connections,
And stuff
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
network and
networking. That's exactly the word I was looking
Oh, okay.
for. Yeah, just to like, you never know who you're gonna run into. That's like, hey, if next time we're in Billings,
oh, yeah.
let's play a show together. Next time you're in wherever, we'll play a show with you.
Mhm.
It's just nice to have that connection and that community. with them.
Definitely.
So that was one thing on my list. It's too bad Billings doesn't really do a big festival.
Yeah. I
The-
wonder what's up with that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we're a pretty decent hub, I think. Like Idaho, well, I mean, not, I think it'd be better if Wyoming had a bigger music scene since we're closer to there.
Yeah.
But they just really don't have a huge scene.
Yeah.
We're like Bozeman and Missoula are a lot closer to like
I mean,
Idaho and
And Billings has got such a different ethos and vibe to it than these other Montana cities. Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely certain things about Billings that are like very unique to us, where it's like we don't quite have the like obviously Bozeman and Missoula has the college. I think Missoula might have a little bit more local pride, or, things like that. Like it's hard to say exactly, but
I think they have a few more venues too, like just like bar venues that are available.
Because I think Billings it's big and it's come a long way for Montana, but it like goes through changes
Yeah.
and stuff. It like goes through cycles of like where's the venue and what's popping right now, and
Exactly.
maybe Missoula has more of a consistent thing. It's hard to say. I don't know.
But it'd just be nice to get
Yeah.
involved in some of that too. And who knows, maybe something will come along where there's a pretty decent festival here. It just seems like the ones we've had have been like semi disorganized and like
They're not like just like a regular occurring
right. It's
festival.
just exactly. It's not
And
like
I mean, good for people for trying to get it going and
course,
stuff. And
yeah.
even if it happens once, that's
It's-
still cool.
it's tough to get those things organized. It's really tough. Getting sponsors and getting
Yeah.
venues.
I'm sure there's a
and
lot that goes into it.
You got to probably get like vendors licenses and
Yeah.
and maybe even insurance and things like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's definitely more than I can imagine. So aside from music, let's talk some sports, man.
Sports.
Sports.
I'm always down for that.
You're going to a couple sports games
I
here.
am.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what remind me again? You're going to a T-Wolves game
I'm going to see the Timberwolves and
and
the
a Wild. Yeah.
Yep. So hockey and basketball, and I've never seen either.
No?
Nope. And I've been a fan
Ooh.
my whole life.
Nice.
Which I know I was telling you too that this is like the best the Timberwolves have ever been. So I'm glad I'm going this year.
Yeah.
For that.
That just worked out real well.
Yeah, it did. Even who knows how well they'll end up doing.
Who are
or
they playing?
If they'll win while I'm there. They're at home against the Cavs, and they're pretty good too.
Yeah.
So
That could go. That could be a. I'd rather play a good team
yeah.
and like have it be a shootout at the end than just like stomp somebody.
And I mean, obviously, like it had a lot to do with like when I could get time off and like all that stuff. I mean, I'm just there to have a good time, and
When is that in March?
it's like the end of March, yeah.
Okay.
And I think
That's getting close to playoff time by that time, right?
I think so.
Playoffs started like end of April.
And then the Wild will play the St. Louis Blues,
Nice.
but like over there, the Timberwolves play in Minneapolis, and the Wild play in St. Paul.
Oh, I didn't
So-
know that.
Because the XL Energy Center is in St. Paul, so
Oh,
that's kind of cool.
I thought maybe they played in the same arena.
No, I guess not.
That's kind of cool though.
Yeah, that is cool.
So you're staying in Minneapolis then,
I'm sure we'll stay by like the Mall of America.
like
And
we
the-
did that time.
Yeah, and they're like equal distant too from the stadiums,
Okay.
so like they're both like close.
You're just gonna Uber around, or is
We probably will drive, but
who all's going?
I'm just gonna go with the family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So okay, I got you.
But and then they're like Minnesota fans too, obviously. But
And you're driving there?
yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, then that makes sense.
yeah. So and the Mall of America is really cool. I'm excited to see that again.
Is that so you haven't been there since we went?
Yeah, and I'm like, that is like 11 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy to think like we did that whole trip. How old were we? Like,
I think we were like 20,
yeah.
something like that, 19.
That's pretty funny.
We were young. We were like not even 21.
We're just like taking Ubers and taxi cabs or whatever. I
I
think we
just
just
remember taking the shuttle and like
oh
the
yeah,
shuttle driver was like giving us backstories on stuff and
in Colombia
construction take 5 years.
because we were
Something
just like bitching about the construction, and then
Yeah.
he's like, no, this is great.
He's like, no, this is actually really good. Yeah. But you know what's funny? I guess I just remember you yelling off of the balcony at that celebrity signing autographs or whatever. And there was a million teenage girls there because he was some popular singer, which I guess he's actually pretty
he's
popular.
big now. Simpson.
He's big. Yeah, he's big now. I'm like, he's like the Australian Justin Bieber or something. But
Okay. Yeah, I was just,
just so funny to me that you yelled off the balcony, "Who are you?"
like,
Which is actually, it's kind of corny, but like,
but it's also funny.
it's funny.
I mean, it's especially when we're only 20. Like,
Yeah, we needed something entertaining,
yeah.
stereotypical teenager
What
thing
was
to
it?
do.
What was that guy's name?
Cody Simpson?
Cody
I think.
Simpson. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah,
And he was just like just getting started. I mean, God, he was playing in the middle of the Mall of America. Obviously, he wasn't doing that great.
yeah. I don't know.
But now he's like actually kind
I'm
of
sure
big.
he's kind of big now. Like I've
He's
told people that
big.
story, and they're like, "Oh, that guy? Yeah, I used to really like him." Like,
Yep, we yelled at him.
yeah, we yelled at him.
Yep.
And Dakota also gave Tim Tebow a note. We got all kinds of stories like that. Said hi to the Chevelle guy right outside the Crystal. Give me a fist bump.
Yeah, because he didn't want to shake hands.
Well, that, you know what?
It was still badass.
It was still badass.
That was great because I'll never. I was like, "Hey, that guy." Oh no, you said, "Hey, look, that looks like Pete." Or you said, "Hey, that's Pete." And I was like, "Yeah, that does kind of look like Pete." And you're like, "No, dude, it is Pete." And I was like, "What?" And we're just like, and then I immediately was like, "Oh fuck!" And I think you're the one who said something.
Yeah. I was like, "Can I shake your hand?" And he was like, "Okay, fist bump."
He's like, "You guys going to a show tonight?" And we're like, "Yeah."
As we have our like Chevelle shirts on.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah.
We're like clearly in like if we recognize you and we're downtown and you're like not like Ozzy Osbourne or somebody who's like clearly recognizable, we're probably fans.
And that's a band.
That was a good show too.
I've seen them 4 times.
Damn.
They must have come to Billings like even more than that.
Shit, I might have seen them for at least 3.
Because I saw them at the Metro. We saw them at the Metro for
Yeah.
the fair, and they were great. That
Great.
was probably the best time I saw them.
That was a great show.
And they had their like bass drop thing just. They were so like intense that time.
That was badass. I think I've definitely seen them twice with you.
Yeah.
And
So.
maybe that was only the only 2 times I actually seen them now that I think about
But
it.
I'm like, I thought about that too. Like a band like Shinedown, they played in Billings like a million
A
times.
ton. I don't think I've missed one except for the only one the first time they came here when I didn't even know who they were.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've missed a single time they've came here. And then I've had to I've traveled a few times to see them. I don't think I'll travel to see them anymore, but if they come here, I'll be going.
Didn't you give him a note too?
I did.
So
I was really into giving notes.
you're giving notes.
They
You
weren't
gave him a
notes. They
note.
weren't notes. They were letters.
You gave a letter to.
They weren't like, "Do you like me? Circle yes or no."
I wish you would have done that. You gave a note to
been
Brent
hilarious.
Smith. But the Tim Tebow one, I don't remember where you said you saw him, but I just remember thinking it was so funny because he was walking away and you were like, Tim!
And he turned
Tim!"
around.
And he turned around and got it. What a guy.
That was great.
Tebow time.
I did not think yelling his name would actually.
You know what? I don't care what anyone says about him. That year was great.
Phenomenal.
Tebow time.
That was awesome. I mean, those are good memories.
Don't cover up your Tebow time tattoos.
We've certainly
people.
had worse years the last 8 years than that.
Yeah.
So I would take Tebow time anytime over what we've had to deal with the last 8 years.
Yeah. Eminem versus Taylor Swift Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. I might as well ask you that.
Okay.
What's your prediction for the Super Bowl? Like, okay.
What do I want or what do I think's going to happen?
So as of filming this, the championship games have not happened yet, but by the time this comes out, they will have already happened.
Yeah.
So let's see how accurate our predictions are. First of all, let me ask you first. What do you want to happen, and what do you think is going to happen?
As much as it pains me to say this as a Vikings fan, I want the Lions to beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Which I feel like is a probably common
desire.
desire.
I think that's the fans' overall want right now.
But what I think is going to happen, and I don't want to believe that the NFL is scripted. Even if it is, I don't think it's like as to the degree that the WWE is.
Yeah.
But there was like leaks where it was like, oh, it's going to be the Ravens and the Niners. There's like those kind of like conspiracies and leaks and stuff.
Because of the logo.
But part of me is like, oh, the NFL would just love it if they could put Taylor Swift and Eminem on the screen every other second and have Detroit and Kansas City play each other. So
yeah, it's tough to say. So how do you actually see it shaking out, though?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised for my realistic prediction, which is what I don't want to happen, is to be the Chiefs beating the Lions.
Ugh.
Which I think would be no thanks.
Yeah, I think everybody would be extremely upset about that. And I think, so here's the thing. If the NFL really is pulling the strings, let's just say in a conspiratorial world,
Okay.
the NFL is actually like making things play out the way they are. They clearly would want Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl.
Oh, definitely.
They want all this hype.
Yes, they do.
And the Chiefs stuff in the Super Bowl. However, I think they also know that the Chiefs beating either the Niners or the Lions is not what the fans want, and it would absolutely destroy them. So if they were going to pull the strings, they would have the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl and lose to whoever.
Yeah.
And to the Lions even more especially, would just be the greatest story of all time.
And hear me out. Chiefs Lions, Super Bowl halftime show, guest appearance, Eminem versus Taylor Swift on stage. Rap battle. Yep, rap battle. Or like, or they battle.
And
somehow.
Taylor Swift could just do a dance off and do her weird fucking dance moves that are just like so uncoordinated.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen that one where she's like doing this like weird gorilla thing? Dude, it makes me want to kill everybody.
This Taylor Swift, I mean, this is...
Okay. Did you see the AI stuff with Taylor Swift?
I didn't.
But did you see you saw that it came out, right?
Oh, I don't know if I did.
So it's been a big thing this past week. Some AI, some like Twitter guys, or I don't know who it was, they made a bunch of AI art of Taylor Swift, and they are very naughty. Let's say that.
Oh gosh.
And so it's just been circulating the internet, and it's really brought up mostly the issue of how okay is this? It's like you're using somebody's likeness and making like pornographic,
very realistic looking images out of somebody.
And it's like where does this?
Where's the line?
Where's it okay? Like where's the legality of all this?
That's
and
point.
Even more bigger, the morality of it. Yeah. And so obviously
just AI in general now is
God.
like
it's
it's happening.
Well, and we could speak on that as musicians too. Like,
and I mean, that like it's just what we're seeing now. It just scratches the surface of what they probably actually have,
or what it's definitely going to be.
But I mean, just speaking on Taylor Swift, like she is so unbelievably popular now, especially for like a female audience. That like you don't know how many people I've talked to that are like, I don't know anything about football, but I've been watching now because Taylor Swift, and like. I'm like, you can't tell me that the NFL, it's either intentional or it was unintentional and they realize it, that like, oh man, this is going to get us like a huge demographic that we don't normally have, which is the female audience.
If it's been unintentional, they are just licking their chops at how well it's worked out for them.
Like Taylor Swift's like, maybe they were trying to defend her for like, she didn't like it that people were dissing her, that she was like being shown so much or something. I'm like, you're getting attention for this. You don't act like it was an accident.
Well, and let me just make it very clear. I personally have nothing against Taylor Swift.
Yeah. I mean, me neither.
In herself.
No.
And I have nothing against her dating Travis Kelce. I have nothing against her being a fan of the NFL and whatsoever. My problem with it is the over-commercialization that the NFL has promoted with her. And they're just like whoring her out, essentially, to like make more money. And it's like every time Kelsey catches a ball, let's look at Taylor Swift. Like you see more images of Taylor Swift than you see of the coaches on the sidelines.
And this is just the fan in me that rolls my eyes at like the bandwagon pretty boy teams.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I hate that, because like I root for the Vikings and they're not a bandwagon like glorious team that wins. You know what I mean? So it's like, how convenient that you're dating someone on the best team who's won all these Super Bowls and they're the best team and it's one of the best players. I'm like, could you imagine if she was like, oh, I'm dating a backup safety on the Jaguars?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't be.
Yeah,
Come
right.
on.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's definitely another part of this where it's like, of course, she's like sporting the uniform of the star child team that in the NFL right now.
Right. It's just like, it's not. I'm just trying to think of like a crappy team.
The teams
no one cares about.
All their players are on every commercial and stuff
right.
Like that. Yeah, no, it would be a way better story if she was dating like Jared Goff.
Well, and now he's on all these commercials too, Travis Kelce now, and it's like, yeah, and there are other like famous celebrity like couples influencing like women that are powerful and respected. Like there's a girl Simone
Simone
Biles,
Biles, yeah,
and
yeah,
she's
yeah.
dating the guy in the Packers. There's another influencer dating like a linebacker on the Lions. There's, Jake Browning's girlfriend. You do see that, and that's great, but it's just
Of course, it's not getting the attention.
Taylor Swift is like the most popular artist in the world.
She's probably one of the most popular people.
Yeah, she might be. I know she was number 1 on Spotify this last
she's
year.
unbelievably popular.
Yeah.
And then go figure, it's the team that just won the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, they've been in the
been in-
AFC Championship game every year since Patrick Mahomes has been playing.
It's like 5 years or 6 years
It's
in a
6,
row.
might be 6 now.
Yeah.
But
It's definitely like irritating to watch. Where it's like, yeah, if she was dating somebody on, and obviously it would be still a huge deal, but even if she was dating somebody on like, I'm trying to think like a mid-popular team.
the backup running back on the Titans.
Well, even if it was a star player, like
Yeah.
clearly she'd be dating a star player, but like I'm trying to think like Miami.
Yeah.
Like if it was somebody on the Dolphins or
Right.
somebody on the Chargers or something like that. Like that would be fine.
Yeah. I wonder what really is behind the scenes with some of this stuff, but it's hard to say,
And that doesn't help me either. Is how much I absolutely hate the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I have an extremely
You hate them more than most.
undying hatred for the Chiefs. My least favorite team.
Yeah. I'm glad you beat them this year.
Now we got to beat the Raiders.
Let's ride.
We're on like an 8-game losing streak to
Oh,
the Raiders.
man.
But now we turn to basketball because
Basketball.
well, I'll watch the Super Bowl obviously and stuff like that, but now that the Broncos are out, I got to turn my attention to the Nuggets.
Yeah. True.
And so
Yeah, we're done with football.
yeah, well, and then hockey too, like you said.
Yeah.
So we got
I don't know quite as much about hockey like information, but
same.
I know a lot more about basketball. Like basketball and football is what I know the most about.
Same.
But
I still enjoy watching hockey, and like if it's on and nothing else is, I'll watch that. I'd rather watch hockey over baseball.
yeah,
And then that's exciting though that you're going to a hockey and basketball game.
yeah,
Because
they're
they're
like back-to-back days too.
you got good seats.
No.
Oh. They're still fun though, no matter what. Like the atmosphere of both those events, you're gonna be so surprised at the basketball.
Really?
Like hockey makes sense. Like just hockey fans are just very like you almost can tell the energy that you're gonna get at a hockey game.
Yeah.
You have like the basketball one is surprising.
Jeez.
Like it's gonna be a blast, especially
That's
now
cool.
that the Wolves are doing good.
Yeah. And like I was gonna tell you too, like the Nuggets obviously still doing really good, defending champs, but the Thunder and the Wolves, man,
Surprising.
That's a tough division, and like we just lost to the Thunder.
I should say it's not surprising that they're both doing well. I mean, I think everybody kind of saw the Thunder going to be a problem once they started getting all
Eventually,
those picks. And they've made all the right picks. Like Chet Holmgren's been great. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's like been a rising star the last few years.
Yeah.
Didn't he come from Clippers?
Who?
Alex-
Shy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He was in that Paul George trade.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Dude, when they show the players that were drafted with those picks and like all the things that have happened because of that trade, it seems so one-sided. And it was going to be so long as the Clippers didn't make it. They haven't even made it to a championship.
Gosh, that was like one of the first like trades I remember being like, you're gonna trade that much for one guy. And I know the Timberwolves got a lot of crap for that Gobert trade, which now it's starting to look like we maybe won that trade. Because what the Jazz got in return now hasn't quite materialized. And Gobert, we're like arguably one of the best teams, and he's like a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year.
It seemed like it because he's been there 2 years or 1 year.
This is his second year.
Yeah, so it seemed like last year it felt like kind of just a growing phase where they were just trying to like gel together. Like they obviously made the playoffs, which
They were
was
talking
awesome.
about some kind of issue that was in the way that I think they figured
Addressed.
out. But like, you got to remember, like now the Timberwolves are one of the best defensive teams. Before we were like the worst. And he also brings something we didn't have before, which is rebounding. We never could rebound. But
Well, then it's pretty awesome, honestly, that Towns has stayed as long as he has. Like,
Yeah.
he's been he's been there forever, right?
it's like 2015.
Yeah.
It's just a long time.
So it's cool that he never jumped ship like a lot of those guys.
And they didn't
have.
give up on him either.
Right,
And Edwards and Gobert and Towns have been a really tough.
dude. Anthony Edwards.
And
He's a stud.
we ended up getting probably the biggest difference maker that no one would really talk about is Mike Conley, the point guard of the Timberwolves. He's such a good, like, smart game managing, like, passing true point guard, and that's what they needed.
Is he the starter?
He's a starting point
Okay.
guard, yeah, and he's like a veteran and he's got a lot of accolades and stuff, but like he's more of a true point guard that like can like lead a team and pass the ball and get the stuff going, and like that's what we needed.
Who's your fifth guy on the starting line that I'm not thinking
Probably
of?
Jaden McDaniels.
Oh, okay.
And he's like a more of a defensive forward.
Which you need.
And we need that too. Like our scorers are like obviously Towns and Edwards, and then we have like a backup center who's like really good too, and he scores a lot of points in Naz Reid. So
Nice.
got a good lineup, but they've been kind of struggling a little bit more recently. But
Dude, I'm telling you, is it Tim Conley, the GM?
yeah,
I'm telling you, man, he was good with Denver. He built up that team that we have, and our GM now has made some pretty good moves also. But that was just when he went to Minnesota. Like obviously the Gobert trade looked pretty bad last year, but now it's starting to look pretty good.
Well, and then I think the difference too is like we have new owners and a new president, and like that I think has really been the starting point for making a difference. Because now it's like Alex Rodriguez and other guy who owns the Timberwolves.
You mean the governor?
Is that his name?
No. That's what they call. That's what they call owners now because they don't want to own them.
Okay.
That was part of the whole BLM.
That's kind of funny. I didn't
know
know
they're
that.
governors.
Oh, interesting. Well,
they're owners.
Yeah. Which it's like, you know, that kind of brings me to a point, even with like football, of like why teams are successful or why they're not, or why they're good franchises or why they're not. Even like, not to change the subject back to football, but like even like the Vikings, like the Viking fans are so divided on stuff now, and like now people are more positive towards Cousins, but like it makes you wonder when we get a new GM and then same stuff is kind of going on. You're like, who really controls this team?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the owners or the CEO or the president, you know?
It all starts from the top.
The Wilfs. And it's like, you know damn well they were like, oh, we're going to blame the old head coach and GM instead of Cousins. And these new guys are going to work with Cousins and try to make him work. And I'm like, is that a good idea, though?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Ownership's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, what did you think of the Bucks cutting their head coach and then going to get fucking what's his name, Doc Rivers? It seems like such a like player-driven move.
Yeah, I think that didn't it come out that like that coach like wrecked the relationship and the trust with Giannis, and Giannis doesn't like him, and
it's very clear that that's the case.
There was something going on where, like, I heard, like, maybe Giannis was not listening to play calls, or they didn't like how they were being rotated off the bench, or there had to be a personal thing behind it, because he was successful and they were doing well. So, I think it had to be something internal or personal, or...
Yeah.
And I don't know if Doc Rivers is really the best replacement.
Dude, somebody, I was watching a thing, made the best point. It's like, Doc Rivers really doesn't have the greatest resume. Like, he won one championship with a super team.
Which one even was it?
The Celtics in like 08.
Yeah, that's...
And then they went to back-to-back and lost. And they lost the second one to the Lakers. He went from there to the Clippers. They didn't really have any huge stars while he was there. But that was the Chris Paul era. Was that the
like Chris Paul, like Blake Griffin era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that never manifested. He failed there. Then he goes to Philadelphia, has an MVP caliber player in Embiid, had James Harden. You know, they had some studs. They went to the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
Never went to I don't even think they ever went to the... Did they go to the
I don't think they ever
conference
went to the
championship?
finals or even the conference...
They never went to the finals, but they might have went to the conference finals against the Raptors when they lost.
No.
Either way, he failed there, and now he's going to get a shot with another like championship-worthy team. Like, I don't understand.
And the Bucks fired their championship-winning head coach, who was just... And that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
That was crazy.
And I'm like, that's what I think about, like, maybe it's just the way of the players now or social media, but like especially the NBA, these coaches will be scapegoated like that.
Yeah.
Where like even the Suns coach, like they went to the finals and then the next year they fire him.
And he was great.
It's like,
although he's not doing that great with the Pistons. Like that's where he is now. So, but what can you do with nothing? Yeah, you know.
it sounds like to me he might be a like yelling coach or a kind of like a break you down coach, and
Dude,
I'm like,
NBA
that does
players
not
are
work
so
anymore.
But NBA players are so soft now. Like,
yeah, it's true.
like these are grown men making millions of dollars, and like you can't be yelled at. You can't get your like feelings hurt, or you can't like have your ego shot just a little bit.
Well, it's like they don't want to blame players anymore. They want to blame coaches.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would anyone even want to be a head coach? It's like even looking at the dysfunction with the Carolina Panthers owner, who even wants to go do that? Someone who would have never been a head coach otherwise, probably.
Yeah,
it's like the
did
Browns back in the day.
Did they get anybody?
They did, and I don't. It's like the OC from the Bucks.
That's right.
So
Or
I'm like,
I thought he was going to Atlanta.
the defensive coordinator from the Rams.
That's right. That's
Raheem
right.
Morris,
Mm-hmm.
the Youngry Bucks.
Oh God. Yeah, that's right. And then what about and then Jim Harbaugh is going to
That was quick.
the Chargers.
I was gonna send you that meme. It was like Dumb and Dumber, where like it shows him winning the championship, and it's just Jim Carrey going, "Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later."
I mean, it makes sense though because he did what he sought out to do in Michigan. I think his contract was up.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't blame him.
And after all the controversy this year, he's just like, let me get out of here and go make money. He was destined to go. He wanted to go back to the NFL.
I wish Minnesota would have got him.
But a lot of teams wish they would have got him. Who's your head coach? Oh yeah, O'Connell.
Brad Childress 2.0, the offensive genius who never called plays at his previous team, and he's such a young hotshot genius. And I'm like, well, I love those creative plays you're calling. Those are so intuitive.
Does he call plays for you guys?
Yeah, he calls plays. That's just the thing for me. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, we brought you here to be this thing, and you're not this thing. So why do we have you?
Huh.
I think they honestly just brought him in because he worked with Cousins before, and he was going to be a Cousins believer. Well, that makes one of us.
Well, and you're pretty confident Cousins isn't coming back.
I hope not. And I know a lot of Viking fans now are like, "Oh, but Cousins." I'm like, you got to realize, from my perspective, the PR stuff they've done to try to make Cousins seem better. How convenient! Like, oh, he got hurt, and now everyone else is so much crappier than him, and like, I just don't think that he's a bad quarterback. I just think it just isn't going to work on the Vikings because it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
We brought you here to get us to the Super Bowl, and now everyone's like, well, he needs some help. And I'm like, then why did we pay you like a superstar, like one of the highest paid quarterbacks, if you can't carry anybody?
Yeah.
Don't get me started on Cousins.
Okay.
Just kidding. He's not bad. He just
he's
he
very
just
middle
has
of the
no
road.
pocket awareness, and the Vikings have no O-line. It's tradition. You can't have an O-line on the Vikings. We need someone who can run for their life.
You need a escape artist.
Yeah. The Vikings are like, you can throw it to Jefferson? Okay, you're in.
I'm curious to see what the Broncos do with the Russ situation. I think Russ is gone.
Oh yeah, I think they burned the bridge there.
I think between that and it's very clear Sean Payton, that's not the quarterback he wants.
Well, I'm wondering who does he want?
I think we're going to draft somebody.
I mean, you have to.
This is what wouldn't surprise me. So I think we would draft a quarterback, whether it makes sense to get a guy like Bo Nix from Oregon or C.J. McCarthy from Michigan, because that's about when they're going to fall to, unless their pro days and shit are just like off the charts. In which case, like, we could go get a Caleb Williams. I think he's overrated, but I think he'll still go in the top 5.
Yeah, I think he'll be one.
Probably. Unless the Bears are pretty content on keeping Fields. But they could trade back still.
I think if they want Fields, they'll trade. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would say so. Or they'll take Marvin Harrison Jr.
What about the old Vikings GM saying Caleb Williams is better than John Elway?
That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. And Peyton Manning and Joe Montana.
And the comments are like, yeah, that's why you're the former Vikings GM.
Yeah, I think we draft a guy, and then I could see us getting like a Baker Mayfield or a Kirk Cousins in the meantime, like as a current placeholder for before the backup were to come in.
They wanted Cousins before he went to Minnesota, so
yeah, but that's been. I mean, it makes sense with having what's his name, George Payton as our GM. Whether or not that, I feel like he would have been fired already if we were going to fire him. So I think he's not going anywhere this year. But yeah, I think we'll see. I could see us getting somebody like that, like a Baker Mayfield or a Kirk Cousins for now until whoever we draft comes into their time.
You got to keep Patton because you got to have someone to blame when it doesn't go well next year.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Dude, the blame has been tossed around to everybody.
It's just been a revolving door of like quarterback, coach, GM, like
yeah. But it's just we're in that really frustrating time right now.
I kind of feel bad for Russell Wilson, but at the same time, like there's just something about his game that really is like missing.
Yeah,
like
I understand the criticism.
I mean, I do too. It's kind of almost how I feel about Cousins. I'm like, the Broncos just aren't the team for you.
Yeah.
Maybe both those guys, they got one more chance on one more team, and if they blow it there, I think they're done.
Yeah.
But I worry about the Vikings keeping Cousins because they don't have a lot of money to spend, and he's gonna draw a big paycheck. So.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a problem for us if we wanted to get him as like.
He's just not worth the money he's been getting. That's the problem.
Right.
Because then you have no money left for
anyone else. Well, how old
is
he now?
He's like going to be 36,
Jeez.
coming off an Achilles tear.
Yeah, that's tough.
And
that's
I think the
sell.
Vikings are just like, oh man, if we don't keep him, Jefferson might leave. I'm like, I can't think that way. I don't know. There's a lot going wrong.
Well, at least both of our football teams are in shambles. But yet, again, we got our basketball teams.
Go basketball.
They're doing good. I think it's going to... Who do you project in... Like, if we're almost to the midway. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you, too. Do you guys have any All-Stars announced yet? Or
I don't think I saw anything
They've
announced.
only done the starters.
Oh.
So, I don't know.
That's the problem with Minnesota is, like, we're not a big market team, so I think it's harder for them to get all-stars.
Dude, it's so bullshit that LeBron James is still a starter. Like, how? They're not even doing that good. Oh, they won the in-season tournament.
How convenient.
Yeah. And then, but then they lost like 8 of their next 10 after that. And they're like the 10 seed right now. And yet LeBron's still a starter somehow.
Gosh, it's so hard to predict who the finals is going to be, especially now that 8 seeds have been winning.
I won't go as far as to ask you the finals, but let me ask you who you think are going to end up in the playoffs as of right now. Like, because there's you got your top 4 that are probably definitely going to be there, but then there's the next like 8 where it's like it could change at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, that's
between
true.
Like the Pelicans, the Clippers are up there. I'm just gonna pull up the just so I can.
I think the top 4 is like Thunder, Wolves, Nuggets, Clippers.
Yeah, I think that's we're probably definitely gonna see those guys all there. Now between the Kings, Suns, Pelicans, Mavericks, Lakers, Jazz, Rockets, Warriors. And then you also have to like put in the Grizzlies a little bit because now Jaw's back. They could climb their way back into.
I mean, at one point too, like recently, like the Jazz were like 9-1 out of their last 10. Like they've been really climbing.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I think you're right in those top 4. I think those 4 will definitely be there. Then after that, it's like it could be anybody.
I think the Pelicans the Kings, the Suns, and the Mavericks. That's probably my pick for those last four.
It wouldn't. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Lakers make it in there, just because. If anything is scripted, the NBA can easily be manipulated.
Well, it's just like they do the freaking foul thing with them, where when the Lakers play, the other team doesn't get any free throws, and then they get a million of them, and it's like, how could you be? And didn't you tell me one year they were like number one in free throws taken and number one in like having the other team do free throws?
Yeah.
Like, something with penalties like that. I'm like,
it was just like
how
off
convenient.
the charts.
Like, how could you be number one in both those things and not tell me that it's being manipulated?
Right. Well, and the fact that they weren't even like, I think that was last year, and they were like the number 8 seed. If you have that much help, like getting points, and you're only the 8 seed, you're not a good team.
Like LeBron's almost 40.
Like you were being carried to the playoffs.
And
if that was the
basketball
case.
isn't like being a quarterback. Like once you get into your late 30s, mid 30s, like you're kind of done.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of almost a backup.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like LeBron is definitely like
Yeah.
an athletic phenomenon. Like he's definitely like.
It's just really like when people have the Jordan and LeBron conversation, it's just LeBron to me is just so unlikable for so many reasons that it's like. I don't even know.
And well, it's funny because Jordan wasn't a great dude either.
No, it's just it's almost like Kobe Bryant too. It's like the guys that are so good and they're kind of like jerks and everyone hates them and they're kind of like.
But I feel like from the public eye, unless you're a fan of those teams, from the public perspective, it's mostly just because of the ungodly exposure that they get. You're just like, okay, I get it. Like, yes, this guy is great. I get it. Like. I don't need to see his face on every fucking magazine. You're just like, I'm done with, and especially for as long as LeBron's been doing it, you're just like, bleh.
I don't know. Maybe even with Jordan, it was an era back when it wasn't such a like, he's a celebrity.
But he was like, but it's also different now.
I guess you're right with like Space Jam and commercials.
He definitely was like the guy.
You're right.
But
you're right.
We're also living in a time where there's so much more media to be had.
It's just another thing with LeBron too, where he's like, I'm a Cav. Wait, no, I'm a Heat. No, I'm back in the Cav. No, I'm the Lakers. It's just like, dude, we all know why you went to the Lakers, okay?
And you know who's the worst with that?
Who?
Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's like he's literally just moving around to teams where he thinks he can win a championship. And I'll give him the credit. Like he's not necessarily moving for money. But he's like that's why he went to the fucking Warriors, because he was surrounded by a bunch of fucking all-stars. And then you know why he jumped ship, why he left? Because Draymond Green was so fucking difficult to work with.
Huh. That's not shocking.
Nothing makes me more happy than seeing how bad the Warriors have done this year. It's honestly.
He choked my guy out. Choked Gobert.
I know.
Hey, put him in a headlock.
Can I tell you something?
Tell me.
Steve Kerr is the biggest cuck head coach in the entire, maybe in all of sports.
He's Mr. like,
yes, man.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm defending Draymond Green. And I'm like, dude.
And he's such a whiny bitch. Like, he will complain about everything.
Didn't Michael Jordan punch him or something?
I don't know. They were teammates though.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I don't either.
Oh
God. Oh fuck.
I don't know. I just root for Minnesota teams, so
it's nice.
My life's just I'm just having a good time.
It's getting better.
It's getting better.
Because the Wild are doing pretty decent, aren't they?
Okay. Oh no.
Oh, they're not.
No.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And who'd you say they're playing?
That's okay. St. Louis Blues.
They're not doing that great either, though. Hockey is hockey.
Hockey, man.
It's gonna be a good time.
Anyone can get a puck in that goal.
And you'll get to go to 2 different arenas.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be a good time.
Go to Mall America.
Yeah.
You gonna ride some roller coasters?
I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went on like a legit one in Green Bay last summer.
Uh-huh. I remember
my
seeing that
brother-in-law,
picture.
Michael, talked me into it, and I was like, if I think about this, I'm not even gonna do it. I was like, all right, let's go. He's like, it's not gonna be that bad. It's not gonna be that bad. I'm like, dude, it was way worse than what you made it sound
I
like.
remember seeing that picture. You're just like,
Yeah, it was like
Your
my
hair's, like,
glasses
flying.
almost fell off. Like you could see Michael raised his hands. He's having a great time. No, I'm holding on for dear
He was
life.
like-
I'm like, ah!
that
And,
was
like,
so great.
Everyone's laughing and like, I don't know if you've been on like the fast roller coasters, but you're just like, your just stomach is sinking the whole time, and you feel like you're gonna die.
When you get that
know?
rattle, you're yeah.
Yeah, at least I was like telling myself like it's gonna be like 30 seconds and it's gonna be over.
Yeah.
And then it's over. But
But it's a long 30 seconds.
was there ones like that at the Mall of America that you did? Like
Um,
legit ones like that?
there's a couple like pretty decent ones. I remember there's that SpongeBob one, I think it was, where it like brings you
Oh.
up and then stops and then drops you and you go through the thing.
Oh,
Dude, I remember that one that I waited in a line for forever was not worth it.
huh.
But
Yeah.
there was a couple good ones.
You know I'm not a rides guy.
We went on
so
that one that was like the log flip.
That was cool.
Yeah, that
There
one
was one that went around like the whole top. It was a roller coaster, and it was cool,
I think
but
that's
it
one
wasn't like
we did too, right?
Yeah,
it was-
it wasn't like
Super
legit.
fast.
I think I did one in Idaho once too. That was like a corkscrew, and once the thing like really latched on me, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta try to not hyperventilate because I'm like claustrophobic and like,
Yeah.
oh my god." And then it like spins, and I'm just like, I don't even have a chance to be scared. It happens so fast. I'm like, and then it's over.
It's fun time though.
It's good. And then you're like, I did that.
You gonna get Brad on any of them rides?
Oh my gosh, he hates rides more than I do.
Does he really?
Yeah, no, he don't want to
Oh,
go
okay,
on
he
any
ain't gonna
rides.
do
Yeah,
the
my
rides.
dad's not gonna do that. Like, my sister wouldn't do that. Like,
Are they going to the game too? To the game?
no, they couldn't come. I think they would have, but we're gonna go see them in the next month and go see a concert.
That's
and
when you're
stuff.
going to
Starset.
Starset.
Yeah, we'll see Starset in Green Bay.
Nice.
And because I was surprised they were going there. That's kind of a weird.
Hmm.
Because normally they'd go to like Milwaukee or
Madison.
Madison or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
No,
there's
that's,
only like 20 tour dates, so I'm like, hey, that's awesome.
that's gonna be badass.
Yeah.
Couple trips coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do some traveling this
And then
year.
aren't you going to see what did you say, Creed?
Creed. When you are with me, I'm Creed. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
That's once in a lifetime experience.
It's going down to that'll be in Denver, Fiddler's Green.
Cool.
But also, even before that, I'm going to see A Perfect Circle, Pussifer, and
oh
Primus,
yeah, that's really cool.
which I'm stoked. It'll be the first time I've seen Maynard since 2006.
And was that Tool?
Yeah.
So it's cool to see his other bands.
Finally,
then.
yeah, I'll get to see those guys. And honestly, I'm a big Tool fan, but I'm honestly almost a bigger Pussifer fan.
Okay.
And I like A Perfect Circle too.
And then I think I told you this too, but I'm going to Static X.
Yeah.
So it's Static X, Seven Dust, and Dope.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we saw Static X at Manny's in
Mhm.
like 2012 with Wayne Static, and like
A bunch
every
of
band member was like replaced with
Yeah.
some random schmo.
Because wasn't it just Wayne Static's band, or was it?
It was Static X. That's why
Okay.
it was so confusing
Yeah.
because it was Static X, but it was basically just like Wayne Static.
Yeah.
And
As
then
Static X.
now every single member is different, but it's the same band, which is
Oh,
crazy.
really? There's no original members in the band?
Well, like all those guys we saw. are gone.
oh, gotcha.
So it's like their original lineup of drummer, guitar player, bass player,
but not the.
and
but
then the
not
singer's
Wayne.
like replaced with this Zero guy who is the singer of Dope.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to be like, oh, I saw the same band twice with everybody was different.
Yeah.
But
It'll be cool though.
that'll be cool.
And Seven Dust puts on a good show too.
And we saw them too at the Babcock.
Yep, with
Seven
Chevelle.
Dust, yeah, Chevelle.
That was a great show. Oh
He had
yeah.
the backwards headbang. I was like,
He
okay.
looked like he was getting like a crink in his neck, trying to work it out. Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
cool. We got some good shows coming up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the band will be playing
We'll
some
Show
shows.
some more. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's gonna be a good year, brother. Right on. Well, you want to
Oh, yeah,
wrap this
brother.
bad boy up?
Let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, let's end it the way I always end it, with a positive or motivational message from the
Motivational
guest.
message. Me.
From you.
From me, the guest. Okay. Maybe more motivational, but I know there's a lot of like advice out there nowadays and self-help books and every Instagram feed and YouTube channel and guru has advice for how you should live your life and what you should do and what you should not do. But what I've been kind of thinking of recently is like, you got to be able to trust your own way of moving through life, and you can't take on too much from any one of these like people you get advice from, whether it's like some guru or some author or some friend. Like, you've got to be able to believe in your own personality and your own way, you know, that God or whatever intended for you to be. So I kind of think about that like with music, where like it's cool to have influences and like, you know, oh, I like Starset or Disturbed or whatever, but you're not trying to be those bands. You're like being influenced and listening to them and just letting it come out naturally.
Yeah.
And I think that something I've been thinking a lot about recently is just like, you just got to let this stuff kind of wash over you and let it come out naturally and just trust the way you are in the world. Especially like if you see like a video of yourself as a young kid, which I've never really normally see stuff like that. And I did recently, and I was like, wow, I'm just the same as I am now.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is who I am. Like, I need to be who I am and not be ashamed of it. And I think that is something that really like has made a difference for me and helped me and not feel like, oh, I can't be this, or I shouldn't say this, or I got to worry about who I'm being and if I said too much or how I should operate in the world, you know? So I think that brings me comfort, and I think it's something to think about.
Not trying to be a copycat of something else, like not trying
Yeah.
to just be authentically you.
Yeah. Which is kind of a complicated idea, I think.
It
Like, how
is.
do you do that? Like,
Right.
what does that even mean? But
But I think you know once you like really search yourself, like you know who you are
Right.
inside, and it's kind of just accepting that rather than like wanting to change that. Like there's certain things that we can change about ourselves if we don't like them.
right.
But it's like, you know, like if you don't like them, then you don't want to do that. Like,
Well, it's like I've wondered too, where I'm like, well, I question too much. Like, oh, I'm kind of like this. Should I not be like this? Oh, I did this. Should I not do this? Should start doing this instead. Like, there's only so much of that you can do.
yeah,
That can get to be unhealthy and toxic and to be maybe too much
Well,
of
then
like,
yeah.
you're just operating from all these blueprints outside yourself, and it's too much.
and you're losing a sense of identity by doing that.
Yeah.
Because then then you're just like, you're not being true to yourself.
So if you're like me in any way, or like you've gone through a hardship or like a traumatic experience in life, and you start questioning, who am I? And, you know, how did this happen to me? Or what did I do wrong? You can kind of go down a rabbit hole of advice
Yeah,
and questioning your core beliefs. And some of that's healthy, I think, but, you know, you got to know yourself, and maybe that's part of the journey to find yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Hell yeah, man, I like
Hell
that.
yeah.
It's a good way to close the show.
Sweet.
Go check out Cutthroat. Go check out Hidden Standards. I'll leave a link in the description so you can just easily click that. And go check out Cutthroat with Fake News doing their Alice in Chains tribute at the Pub Station Saturday, February 24th. Gonna be a hell of a show. Our Pub Station debut.
yeah.
And I'll leave a link to the CD to Palomar.
Hell yeah.
So go check that
Check
out as
out
well.
Palomar.
And for everybody out there, make sure not to forget that life's a garden. Dig it.
Just gotta keep on keeping on.
Why don't you talk in the microphone? I got a back right here. Back of my back of my back of my back of my back of my
Got it.
back of my 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 Life's a garden, dig it.